3063, 3064, 3065, 3066, 3067, 3068, 3069, 3070, 3071, 3072, 3073, 3074, 3075, 3076. Distinguished Senator Engineer Kabir Abdullahi Barkia, Katsina Central.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Engineer Kabir Barkia, representing Katsina Central. I rise to move the motion for the approval of votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd February 2022. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Bello Mandia, Katsina South.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support the motion as moved by my colleague from Katsina State. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd February 2022 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd February 2022 is hereby approved. Birthday announcement. On behalf of all of us, distinguished senators, I congratulate the following distinguished senators on their birthdays. Distinguished Senator Danjumala, 18th February. Distinguished Senator Betty Jocelyn Apiafi, 19th February. Distinguished Senator Bio Barakuma Deji Eremayo, 22nd February. We wish our distinguished colleagues happy birthdays, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. The 19th February was also the birthday of the 9th President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Ayim Pius Ayim. On behalf of all of us in the Senate, I wish His Excellency, distinguished Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, a happy birthday, long life, and prosperity. Petitions. Leader of the Senate. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act, the bill for an act to Nigerian Council for Social Work Establishment Bill 2022, first reading.
Nigerian Council for Social Work Establishment Bill 2022 HB 655, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill sending in the name of distinguished Senator Gashon Bass, on the Mandatory Public Infrastructure Maintenance Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Mandatory Public Infrastructure Maintenance Bill 2022, SB 708, first reading.
Mandatory Public Infrastructure Maintenance Bill 2022, SB 708, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Solomon Olamilekan Adeola on the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Establishment Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Establishment Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022 SB 935, first reading.
Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Establishment Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022 SB 935, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Opeyemi Bamidele on the Lobbying Regulation Bill 2022, Senate Bill 938. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Lobbying Regulation Bill 2022 SB 938, first reading.
Lobbying Regulation Bill 2022 SB 938, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Tolulope Akinremi Odebi on the Chartered Institute of Mortgage Bankers and Brokers of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Mortgage Bankers and Brokers of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022 SB 939, first reading.
Chartered Institute of Mortgage Bankers and Brokers of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022 SB 939, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, with your permission and the leave of my colleagues, I would like to suspend consideration of the sixth business of the day to sometime later during the course of these proceedings. With your permission, I'd like to move a motion for suspension of consideration or the presentation of this particular aspect, the sixth business of the day, to later part of our proceedings. I so move.
Leader, I think we need to cite the order we are suspending, or the order we are citing, so that we record. Okay. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by the leader for the suspension of the bill. Another time. I so second.
I think the appropriate decision will be we invoke our standing order 1B. So we are not suspending it, we invoke it, 1B. So those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Olubenga Adeyanju for appointment as a commissioner in the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, in accordance with Section 3, subsection 3A of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC Act. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of the President, Commander-in-Chief, to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the request of Mr. President be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC on the confirmation of the nomination of Olubenga Adeyanju for appointment as Commissioner representing Southwest at the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes for further legislative action to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day in the second reading of the Federal Medical Center Gada Establishment Structural Bill 2022. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Thursday, 30th January 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ibrahim Gobir to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Very distinguished Senator Ibrahim Gobir.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Ibrahim Gogol, leading the debate on the Federal Medical Center, Gada, Sokoto State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 292. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Gada, Sokoto State, and to make provisions for its due management and administration. The bill was read the first time in this honored chamber.
Hold on, please hold on. The single Senator Joe Thompson Sekibo doesn't have a copy. Is he the only one? Please get a copy for him. Distinguished, are we voting a copy now? Okay, you may proceed, please. Use your mic, please.
Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Gada, in Sokoto State and make provisions for the its due management and administration. The bill was read the first time in this honored chamber on Thursday, 30th January 2020. This bill was put together in response to the cries of my constituents, women and children, who are in dire need of well-equipped healthcare centers. This move for the establishment of the Federal Medical Center is therefore informed by the need to bridge the existing gap between primary, secondary healthcare and the tertiary healthcare delivery in Sokoto State and in Nigeria as a whole. The gap between primary, secondary, and specialist healthcare in Nigeria is widening. There is no seamless transition from one to the other due to the number of factors. The factors include accessibility to medical facilities, affordability of Medicare, as well as inadequate medical personnel at primary and secondary healthcare levels. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, communicable diseases have continued to ravage many Nigerian communities due to the distance between the communities and the tertiary healthcare institutions. Patients cannot access specialist hospitals where their ailments can be properly diagnosed and adequate treatment given. This unfortunate situation has also compounded the challenge of maternal and infant mortality. Densely populated urban and rural communities are worse hit. Their poor economic situation makes resort to patronizing private hospitals near impossible. The Nigerian National Healthcare Policy is very clear on the role of the different types of government in healthcare delivery. Primary healthcare is to be provided by local governments, secondary healthcare by the state government, and tertiary healthcare by the federal government. In operationalizing this policy, federal medical center fill vacuums created by the non-existence or inadequacy of federal university teaching hospitals in the state. In Sokoto State, the story is different, as there exists no federal medical center after the upgrading of the existing one to a teaching hospital. Hence, the passage of this bill becomes expedient to alleviate the suffering of Sokoto people. The Federal Medical Center, like its counterparts around the world, is envisioned as a multidisciplinary space for treatment, research, harnessing science, and developing innovative means of tackling the numerous health challenges dividing the nation. Additionally, when established, the center will perform the following functions: equip, maintain, and operate the center so as to provide facilities for diagnosis, preventive, curative, and rehabilitative service in medical treatment. To support and provide enabling environment for medical training of personnel as board may consider necessary. To run an effective and cost-effective medical services to Nigerians, and to review and update medical findings and its facts from time to time. Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Center, Gada, Sokoto State will provide services in specialized areas like neurosurgery, cardiology, urology, orthopedics, pediatrics, internal medicine, radiotherapy, ear, nose, and throat treatment, gynecology, psychiatry, nuclear medicine, and other fields of medicine that may be required by Nigerians. I therefore urge Mr. President and my fellow distinguished colleagues to take a giant step in the right direction by supporting this bill for second reading. In line with Order 76, subsection 3 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022, as amended, a compendium of financial implications of the establishment of the Federal Medical Center, Gada, Sokoto State, is hereby attached. I so move, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Yes, distinguished Senator Ali Omega Takadawa Moko.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I ask to second the bill sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Godir for the Second Federal Medical Center, Gada, in Sokoto State. Mr. President, this bill couldn't have come at a better time than now. But health facilities in that part of the country are almost near absence. 2, the argument advanced by the mover of this bill, the support of this bill, are very germane, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues. And if this bill passes through, it is the first of its kind in the state. While many other states in the country have since enjoyed the facilities of the Plenary Center, even our neighbor states of Sokoto, Akebe, and Zamfara, Akebe, and many other states across the country. So maybe getting that will also get us to complement our health facilities in the state which need such kind of support. 4, Mr. President, Gada is a gateway to Nigeria Republic, to a neighboring country with Nigeria. And so the services to be provided by such a center are needed to provide even better image for this country. This and I support the bill established sponsored by Senator Gover, and I ask my colleagues to support this bill as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide the legal framework for the establishment for medical center, GADA, and for related matters, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, GADA, and for related matters, 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Health for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Protective Orozo Establishment Bill 2022. Order! Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 8 February 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Philip Tanimu Aduda to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Philip Tanimu Aduda, FCT.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is distinguished Senator Philip Tanimu Aduda, representing the very good people of FCT. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate of this very important bill for the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic Orozo, Federal Capital Territory. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 8 February 2022. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to establish the Federal Polytechnic Orozo and to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration. The establishment of this institution is informed by the imperative to create more access to higher technical education in view of the large number of qualified candidates who are annually stranded in their failed attempt to gaining admission into higher institutions in the FCT and to balance the geographical spread of the higher institutions, as there exists no polytechnic in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in the North Central. The objective of the polytechnic shall be to A, provide full-time or part-time courses of instruction and training. 1, in technology, applied science, commerce and management, and in such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of Nigeria in the area of industrial and agricultural production and distribution, and for research in the development and adoption of techniques as the Council may from time to time determine. To arrange conferences, seminars, and study groups relevant to the fields of learning specified in paragraph A of this subsection. To perform such other functions as, in the opinion of the Council, may serve to promote the objective of the Polytechnic. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to also encourage the advancement of learning and to hold out to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction the opportunity of acquiring higher and liberal education. Provide courses of instruction and other facilities for the pursuit of learning in all its branches, and to make those facilities available on proper terms to such persons as are equipped to benefit from them. Encourage and promote scholarship and conduct research in restricted fields of learning and human endeavor. Relate its activities to social, cultural, and economic needs of the people of Nigeria, and undertake other activities appropriate for a polytechnic of the highest standard. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, our economy has very high potentials and requires high-level technical, scientific, and administrative skills to drive it. The establishment of this polytechnic will go a long way to achieving these targets. This bill is well organized for its very own purpose of a modern academic research institution. The objectives of the Polytechnic, as articulated above, are supportive of its mission and broad vision of a modern institution that will develop world-class human research that can sustainably manage our nation's economy by providing technical and management expertise at the highest level. The Polytechnic is therefore to further advance knowledge through research and nurture unique innovations, entrepreneurship, and wealth management in its core area of interest. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the enactment of this bill will help in transforming the educational fortunes in Nigeria, in producing the desired manpower and expertise that the country is yearning for. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, in line with Order 77.3 of our standing rules, the financial compendium is hereby attached. I urge you all to support this bill for second reading. Thank you very much, and God bless.
The Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Major North. Mr. President, I was retorting to myself and asking, why would anybody support this bill? I know Aduda will be wondering. This bill seeks to have a polytechnic in the center of unity, the Federal Territory, Abuja, and I think very rightly, it is right for us to have a Federal Unity Polytechnic. And I think, given the challenges this country is facing, and of course the wisdom by our founding fathers and past leaders, which made it possible for all Nigerians to converge in the Federal Capital Territory with equal stake, I think it is just right and appropriate that the FCT should have a Federal Polytechnic. And this Federal Polytechnic, just like any other polytechnic, will help in middle-level manpower training as it is. in all areas of technological advancement. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to my mind, this bill is very straightforward. It is something that ought to have been, and I think it is not late if this night Senate or night Assembly will ensure that it happens. At any rate, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the FCT is our pride. It's where we all take refuge in a united front, and we'll be doing justice if we can guarantee that the FCT has a federal polytechnic. Mr. President, I want to commend and urge all my colleagues to support this. But let me say to distinguished Senator Aduda that it is not the question of North Central. The FCT, as a matter of right, enjoys its own provisions. So do not encroach on the provisions of the North Central. The North Central has its own provisions, and I think when we consider the law school, that was exactly how we treated it. The FCT is FCT. And so let the other ones, the North Central states enjoying their own provisions. Because every Nigerian has equal stake in the FCT. So when you decide to bring it under North Central, you are shortchanging us. So you are guided, please. With these few comments, I urge my colleagues to...
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this will be now read the second time, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic, Orozo, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration and for other related matters, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Orozo to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration and for other related matters, 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEDFOD for further legislative action to report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University Lokoja Teaching Hospital Bill 2021. My colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 7th December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, former Commander for U.S.
Mr. President, I must thank you. You know this song is our life. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am delighted to lead the debate on the general principles of the Federal University Lokoja Hospital, Teaching Hospital, Lokoja. You recall the bill was read for the first time on Tuesday, the 7th December last year. The objective of this bill, Mr. President, is to provide for the establishment of a teaching hospital for the Federal University Lokoja, and also to provide for a management board for the teaching hospital, which sought to be established through this bill. This is intended to facilitate the clinical training of medical students that will be of international acceptable standard of the university. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to bring to the attention of this distinguished Senate that the Federal University Lokoja has already set a college of medicine and has gotten the approval of the National University Commission to admit medical students.
in preparation for the takeoff of the teaching hospital, which will be required for clinical training of medical students of the proposed teaching hospital, the university, the facilities of the Federal Medical Center in Lokoja will be used for the takeoff of the proposed teaching hospital in the interim. The essence of this bill, therefore, is to seek for the upgrade of the Federal Medical Center, Lokoja, as well as provide the legal framework for the operation of the proposed teaching hospital for clinical training of medical students of College of Medicine, Federal University, Lokoja. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is expected that the teaching hospital, when established, will not only serve as a training ground for medical students, but also offer specialized tertiary health care services to patients within the state and indeed other patients referred to it from other parts of the country. Similarly, bearing in mind that the few medical teaching hospitals and other tertiary health centers within the North Central zones are already overwhelmed by referrals for tertiary health care services, the proposed teaching hospital, when established, will therefore complement specialized tertiary health care services offered by the new teaching hospitals within the North Central geopolitical zone, such as the Jos University Hospital and the Lorry Teaching Hospital as well. Mr. President, just in addition, out of over 80,000 registered medical practitioners in Nigeria, only about 40,000 of these are actually practicing in Nigeria. Quite a number of them are already out of the nation. By World Health Organization standard, Mr. President, 1 doctor to 100 patients is required. But in Nigeria, it is 1 doctor to 4,000 patients. This bill should therefore be seen as a major legislative response to our ongoing effort to improve medical training, expand existing medical facilities, and generally improve on healthcare service delivery across the 3 levels of public health delivery in Nigeria against the background of the COVID pandemic. It is on the basis of the foregoing, Mr. President, that I urge my distinguished colleagues to support the passage of this bill, but very impactful bill. I wish to state that in compliance with Order 76.3 of the Senate Standing Orders 22 as amended, this bill, when passed, will have no immediate financial burden on the federal government treasury, as the facilities for the takeoff of the proposed teaching hospital, Mr. President, is the Federal Medical Center, Lokoja, that will be upgraded to the status of the teaching hospital. Mr. President, I so submit.
Distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, by virtue of the order of the Senate President and by reason of proximity to the mover of this important bill, I stand to second the establishment of the Federal University Teaching Hospital in Lokoja. The reasons given by my friend and brother, distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, former comrade, are cogent enough to support the passage of this bill for second reading, and I therefore do so in compliance with your order. Thank you.
I told you to raise your hand. Distinguished Senator Magataka Dawamako.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I also stand up to lend my weight to this bill heavily moved by Smart Adeyemi, which needs no further debate. Once as a university, the role of teaching university is just like putting a part of it to make it a full-fledged university. So I do second the bill, Mr. President. Thank you.
The former Deputy Minority Leader, very distinguished Senator Emmanuel Boacha, Taraba South, APC.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Boacha Emmanuel. Behold, all things are past. I rise in support of
my distinguished colleague whom we have tried to bring back to the struggle. To support this bill, Mr. President, because Nigeria as the most populous black nation, we need to prioritize health sector. Every state, if, Mr. President, I would suggest, deserve a teaching hospital because of our population and because of the significance associated with healthcare. Health is wealth. And if we are able to tackle the health sector, all other things will fall in place. On this, Mr. President, I second this bill and call on my colleagues to do same. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. There are 7. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the university teaching hospitals, reconstruction of board, etc. Act Cap U15, Laws of the Federal Federation of Nigeria 2004 to establish the Federal University Lokoja Teaching Hospital and for other connected matters therein, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the university teaching hospitals, reconstitution of boards, etc. Act Cap U15, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to establish the Federal University Lokoja Teaching Hospital and for other connected matters therein, 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Health for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the Federal High Court Act Amendment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 9th June 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mukail Adetokunbo Abiru to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Adetokunbo Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. It is a great pleasure to lead the debate on the Federal High Court Act Amendment Bill 2021 as the lead sponsor, and my co-sponsor is my dear colleague, Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele of Ekiti Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my pleasure and delight to lead the debate on the general principles on the Senate Bill 745, which is a bill for an act to amend the Federal High Court Act Cap F12 LFN 2004. The bill seeks to amend the Federal High Court Act to cure the shortcomings inherent in the Principal Act, to make provisions for the regulation of the award of prejudgment interest to ensure the attainment of substantial justice, particularly in relation to claims bordering on commercial transactions. You will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this annual chamber on Wednesday, 9th of June 2021. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in commercial claims, particularly the ones for recovery of debts, the claimant should ordinarily be entitled to prejudgment interest on the principal sum should he succeed in his claim. However, entitlement to such a prejudgment interest is not as easy as it seems, at least as far as the numerous decisions of our appellate courts are concerned. Presently, in Nigeria, there is no statutory law which regulates the award of prejudgment interest. Nigerian courts, up till date, still have recourse to the English common law practice as a guide in the award of prejudgment interest. The common law practice is to the effect that such interest can only be claimed as of right where it is contemplated by the agreement of the parties, or under a mercantile custom, or under a principle of equity. This is no doubt a very Herculean task for the claimants to overcome, as great number of decided cases in Nigeria have shown. Moreover, the same common law principle equally constitutes an impediment to the right of a banker to continue to charge interest, whether at an agreed rate or prevailing rate, on a credit facility after the expiry of the facility date. There are decided cases that have also been cited along. The shortcomings in the law. As evidenced by majority of decided cases in Nigeria, in most of the cases where the claims of the claimant on the principal debts were successful, their claims on prejudgment interest were denied. Unfortunately, the claims did not pass the common law test. No doubt, real economic value will have been lost on those judgment sums by the time of judgment, given the high inflationary trend that permeates our economy. There are a host of other decisions of both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal that were decided in that line, and some of them are cited in this particular debate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is disturbing that we will still be adhering to this particular common law principle tenaciously despite its glaring shortcomings in the modern day administration of justice in relation to claims relating to commercial transactions. Even in England, the principle has since been abrogated since 1934 with the promulgation of Law Reform Miscellaneous Provisions Act of 1934. The law in England as of today is that the English court has a discretion to award a prejudgment interest on the judgment sum at any rate as it deems fit, regardless that there is no such claim endorsed on the statement of claim or that there is absence of evidence of proof of same. Nigeria ought to follow suit. Proposed amendment. The bill simply proposes that Section 11 of the Federal High Court Act be amended by substituting the existing Section 11 with a new Section 11 to remedy the deficiency in the law, particularly by proposing a new subsection that states thus: in any proceedings for the recovery of any debt or damages, if it thinks fit, order that there shall be included in the sum for which judgment is given interest at such rate as it thinks fit on the whole or any part of the debt or damages for the whole or any part of the period between the date when the cause of action arose and the date of the judgment, provided that nothing in this section shall apply in relation to any debt upon which interest is payable as of right, whether by virtue of any agreement or otherwise. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, a legislation and legal framework is desirable to deal with the glaring shortcomings in the law and practice on award of prejudgment interest, and this is the reason I am coming up with this bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to support this bill so that in commercial claims, particularly the ones for recovery of debts, the claimant will ordinarily be entitled to prejudgment interest on the principal debt sum should he succeed in his claim, and to ensure the attainment of substantial justice. And I hereby move that the bill be read a second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Michael Openi Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Michael Openi Bamidele. I represent the Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm standing up to also very strongly call on our distinguished colleagues to support this bill being read for the second term. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the very essence of this bill, in a nutshell, is to fill an obvious lacuna in our law. Our courts, including the Federal High Court, have continued to hold that there is no legal basis for them to take decisions that will help preserve the real economic value of judgment debts, because there is no legal provision that empowers them to award
prejudgment interest. Nigeria is not a strange peculiarity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigeria is not a strange peculiarity. That had been the case in several common law countries around the world, including the United Kingdom. But by virtue of a 1934 legislation, the United Kingdom took care of this situation by conceding to judges the discretion to be able to award prejudgment interest. And this exactly is what this bill is seeking to achieve for Nigeria, so that we are not left behind by the rest of both the developed and the developing common law countries, and be able to provide a basis for our judges to be able to exercise an unfettered discretion based on conscious and very clear legal provision. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I just would like to urge all of us to support this bill and ensure that we are able to strengthen the hands of our judges and our courts to be able to award and preserve prejudgment interest, which is what we speak to the real economic value. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, Jigawa Northeast. In rising to lend my support to this bill, Mr. President, I just looking at it from the Nigerian context, commercial litigations are usually very complex in nature. And you have a situation sometimes where they go on for years, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. And you have a peculiar situation in Nigeria, Mr. President. If you sue somebody for a fixed amount and it takes 5 years to decide, with the inflation rate in double digits, Mr. President, by the time you calculate the legal fees you have paid and the logistics, when you finally get that amount, you probably end up in the negative. So I think, Mr. President, this amendment to resolve this issue of prejudgment interest is very, very timely. And without missing words, I rise to also support and urge my colleagues to support this bill. Thank you very much.
Those who heard that this bill will now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Federal High Court Act, CAP F134, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and for other related matters therein, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Federal High Court Act, CAP F134, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and for other matters therein, 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. And Senator Balai bin Allah, you are a member of that committee. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I would like to move a motion first by invoking our Order 1B to bring back into consideration the item on our agenda, on our order paper that we left earlier, which was the presentation of the report of the Committee on Constitutional Review. But before I do that, I would like to come under over 12 for this Senate to permit and admit the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency Haji Aisha Buhari, the Minister of Women Affairs and their entourage, into this chamber. I so move.
Minority Leader. You second the motion, move by the...
Mr. President.
Okay, Leader. Yes. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion, move by the Leader that we suspend our rules to enable the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to enter into the chamber as a distinguished visitor to our CI. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Guy, smart, you are disturbing people here. It's not bad, I attended.
Where is the Sergeant at Arms? Sergeant at Arms, are we okay? Make sure everybody gets a seat. Distinguished colleagues, let me, on behalf of all of us, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, welcome to the chamber of the Senate the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the mother of the nation. And with this, I want to extend our welcome to all the members of the delegation of the First Lady into the chamber of the Senate today. Your Excellency, you are welcome. Let me recognize as an official the presence also of the Honourable Minister for Women Affairs, who has been a friend of the Parliament, and especially the Senate. You are all welcome. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I would like to start first by invoking our Order 1A in order to bring forward the consideration and presentation of the report which we earlier suspended presentation in honor of the First Lady when we received notice of her arrival. With your permission, I read that order, sir. That Order 1B states that in all cases not provided for in this standing order or by sessional or other orders or practice of the Senate, the Senate shall by resolution regulate its procedure. Mr. President, I would like, with your permission and the leave of my colleagues, to bring forward the sixth business of the day, which is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Constitutional Review of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is our fifth alteration of the Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Obi Omo Agege, Chairman of the Committee and the Deputy President of the Senate, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Before I do that, Clerk, Sergeant at Arms, close the door, please. Close the door. Distinguished Senator Obi Omo Agege, the Deputy President of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, before I move the motion, I want to crave your indulgence to join you and my colleagues in welcoming our special guest, the amiable wife of our President and the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I also acknowledge Mr. President, my sisters, the Minister of Women Affairs, and also, I believe, the Minister of Finance. Mr. President, I assume that she is here with the potential 37 new senators that will come into the Senate following the adoption of the Constitutional Review report. Having said that, Mr. President, I rise formally to move the Senate to receive the report of the Committee on Constitutional Review on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 5th Alteration Bills 2002, and crave your indulgence to lay the same before the Senate. Mr. President, I so move.
Well, because this particular segment of our activity is particularly having to do with gender sensitivity, it is only appropriate that I invite a female senator to second the motion moved by the Deputy President of the Senate. Our Chairman, Committee on Women Affairs, very distinguished Senator Betty Jocelyn Apiafi.
Mr. President, my name is Betty Jocelyn Apiafi. I represent Rivers West Senatorial District. I stand to second the motion that the House do receive the report of the committee, that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Constitutional Review, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 5th Alteration Bill 2022. I so second.
Well, before I put the question, let me, in a special way, agree with you when you say the House. Many of us here came from the House, and we find it difficult to forget about the House. So you are in order. I don't think there will be any objection to that. You know, former members of the House in the Senate have been very generous and magnanimous. Otherwise, this chamber will witness the tyranny of former members of the House in the Senate. But it has been quite peaceful. So those in favor of the motion moved by the Deputy President of the Senate and seconded by Senator Apiafi, that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Constitutional Review on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 5th Alteration Bills 2022. Say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Only one. There is no nay. The ayes have it. DSP, you may lay the report, please. We don't clap here, but I'm sure we are all happy that we are receiving the report. Thank you very much, the DSP, for laying of the report. Let me, at this point, say that this is a special segment of our sitting. It's not usual that we have the presence of the First Lady in the chamber for particularly a course of legislative action, but this is a special course. And the First Lady has been consistent in supporting gender inclusivity. We are all in support of gender sensitivity. In fact, in this Senate, we have only two groups: the female senators and the he's for she's. All the rest of us, the male senators, are he's for she's. So this is a report on the Constitutional Review, and the presence of the First Lady is especially to show her support for one of the bills that want to create an affirmative action for more female parliamentarians in both chambers in the Senate and the House and the state legislatures. This, we believe, will help in nation building, as such significant participation by our women will add value to not only legislation, but the much desired and needed national development. For us as a nation, our motto is unity and faith, peace and progress. We believe that all hands must be on deck to ensure the participation of each and every segment of our society. And at the moment, you will all agree with me that our women have not been able to get that level of participation commensurate with their population as reflected in our demography. And therefore, what we are trying to do, and this will go through voting later to complete the process in the National Assembly. Your Excellency, I want to encourage you to continue with this advocacy. And even before you came, we have people, the single senators, who have been campaigning for this in particular. And in fact, the remark by the Deputy President of the Senate, even before he led the report, was to say that we already have 37 senators in this, in the delegation, or some of them may be there. And this is to show how committed we are all to ensuring gender inclusivity and female participation in parliament, in governance, and in development of our country. On behalf of all of us, the single senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria here, I want to once again commend you for leading by example that all segments of our society should be given the chance and the opportunity to contribute to national development. Thank you very much. You are welcome. And let me also recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Finance. Sorry, you are covered by a camera. I think that was a big omission. Otherwise, even when the bill is passed, there will be no money to actualize it. So you are all welcome, and thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to, on our own behalf, on behalf of all senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, express our gratitude and appreciation to the First Lady, the Minister of Finance, Minister of Women Affairs, and their entourage for doing us a great honor of visiting this great chamber and showing their solidarity with us on the issues that are going to come before this Senate House on the review on the 1999 Constitution. I thank you very much, and God bless you, and I wish you, on behalf of the Senate, and maybe you are likely going to go to the House to repeat the same thing. I wish you a safe journey back home. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm back. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Committee report of the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund, Establishment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund, Establishment Bill 2022. The Conference Committee of both houses have met and harmonized the differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 87. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Muhammad Danjuma Goje, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the conference report.
Distinguished Senator Muhammad Danjuma Goje.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would like to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Conference Committee on a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund for the purpose of training, provision of security equipment and related facilities, enhance the skills for the personnel of the Nigerian Navy and for related matters, 2021. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator Kabiru Ibrahim Gaya, Kana South.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I move to second the motion raised on the bill that the Senate do receive and consider the Conference Committee report on the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund, Establishment Bill 2022, HB 1243. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the Conference Committee report on the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund, Establishment Bill 2022, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Chairman, may I lead the report, please. You may present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Conference Committee report on a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Maritime Academy Trust Fund for the purpose of training, provision of security equipment, and related facilities, enhance the skills of the personnel of the Nigerian Navy and for related matters, 2021, HB 1243. Mr. President, the committee met and deliberated on the differences, and we adopted a report of the Senate. So, Mr. President, I would like to say I will jump the main report and just read the recommendation of the Conference Committee. The Conference Committee, having considered the area of difference noticed in the bill as passed by the two chambers, hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do consider and approve the Conference Committee report on the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2021 as recommended. I so move. Mr. President, on behalf of the committee, I wish to thank the National Assembly for the opportunity provided to resolve the area of difference in this very important bill and recommend its adoption by the Senate. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Any comments? Because this is a conference committee report, I'm going to put the question on the entire report for adoption. Those in favor that the Senate approves the conference committee report on the Nigerian Maritime Security Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2022, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the service order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act, CAB 15 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004 Amendment Bill 2022. On the same breath, Mr. President, I would also like to take together with it the 8th order of the day, which is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, CAB 010, Laws of the Union of Nigeria, 2004 Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahya Oloregbe, Chairman on the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, to move a motion for the presentation and consideration of the two reports.
Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahya Oloregbe, Kwara Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the reports of the Committee on Tertiary Education, not tertiary institutions, Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary. Please do correct what is there. It's not tertiary institution and health. It's Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on two bills: University Teaching Hospital Reconstitution of Board, etc. Act Cap U15, Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004, Amendment Bill 2022, SB 638 and 640 combined, as well as the Orthopedic Hospital Management Board Act, Cap 010, LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, SB 843 and 855 consolidated. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator Ibikola Amosu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikola Amosu, I represent the Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I move to second the motion ably moved by Senator Oloregbe. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund is it not on the teaching hospital? I'm reading what they gave me here. Oh, I didn't hear you when you corrected. Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. Secretary, the Committee on rules and business should take note, please. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive or consider the report of the Committee on Health on the University Teaching Hospitals, the Constitution of Boards, etc. Act, Cap U 15 LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2022, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. You will take the other one. I think there are two. We'll take the other one so that he lays all the two.
Mr. President, before I start, there's a correction that the Secretary should note. The Road Committee on Tertiary Institutions, I don't know the rule of business why it came like that.
You correct it. Okay, you take the motion.
And consider the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the Orthopedic Hospital Management Board Act, Cap 010 LFA 2004, Amendment Bill 2002, SB 843 and 855 consolidated. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Lola Ashiru, Kwara South.
Mr. President, I'm Senator Ashiru, representing Kwara South. I do second the motion that the Senate consider the report on Committee of Health as moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Whip. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Health on the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 010 LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2022, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, please lay the two reports. Chairman, you may present the reports.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to present the report of the committee on the bill for an act to amend University Teaching Hospital, the Constitution of Board, Act Cap U15, Laws of Organization of Nigeria, 2004 Amendment Bill, to establish the Federal University of Technology Akure Teaching Hospital and the Federal University Gusau Teaching Hospital and for related matters 2022. Mr. President, the Senate, at its sittings on Tuesday, 6 July 2021 and Tuesday, 28 September 2021, respectively, read for the second time the University Teaching Hospital, the Constitution of Board, etc. Act, Camp UR5, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, Amendment Bill 2021, and refers same to the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary for further legislative action. The bills were consolidated because they are on the same subject matter, that is the principal act. But the bills were sponsored separately by Senator Patrick Akinyelure and Senator Yao Sabi Aladi. The bill seeks to, among others, amend the University Teaching Hospital, the Constitution of Board, Act Cap U15 Laws of Federation, Amendment Bill to include the Federal University Akure Teaching Hospital and Federal University Gusau Teaching Hospital, thereby giving the teaching hospital full legislative recognition. Mr. President, I move to observation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, every institution needs to be backed up by enabling law. It is against this background that these bills came to this chamber. The Federal University of Technology Akure had established a faculty of medicine and had admitted medical students who are now in their 200 level. These students will need a teaching hospital for their clinical training. Also, the community has provided land for the development of a teaching hospital. Therefore, this bill is essential to enable university to establish a teaching hospital. On the other hand, the Federal University of Gusau is about to establish a faculty of medicine as part of its phase 2 development. It seeks to adapt to the existing Federal Medical Center in Gusau as the teaching center for its medical students. Therefore, this bill will enable the upgrading of Federal Medical Center Gusau to a teaching hospital. Essentially, the objective of these bills are to amend the first schedule to the Principal Act to include the University Teaching Hospital. No, that's a mistake here. The University Teaching Hospital in Gusau and Akure. By this amendment, it creates a legal backing for the University Teaching Hospital in both Gusau and Akure. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, after a call by consideration of the bill, the committee submit that the recommendation for the passage of this bill be approved. The committee would like to thank the Senate President and the entire Senate leadership and our distinguished colleagues for the policy given us. Mr. President, I want to read the second report so that we can take them together.
Yeah, go ahead and take the second report.
The second report is on a bill to amend the Orthopedic Hospital Management Board Act, Cap 010, North Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Orthopedic Hospital Party D and Orthopedic Hospital Obokun, Osun State, and for related matters. Mr. President, these bills are similar, hence the committee consolidated the two because they are the same subject matter. That is the Orthopedic Hospital Management Act. The bills were sponsored by Senator Sadiq Umar and Senator Francis Fadansi, and the bills seek to amend the Orthopedic Hospital Management Act by providing expansion of Orthopedic Hospital in Party D and Obokun, Kwara State. I don't like that. I don't know why there are a lot of Tatkava. Mr. President, I will move to the objectives and recommendations. The Federal Orthopedic Hospital, when established in Party D, Kwara State and Obokun, Osun State, will provide services such as diagnosis and treatment from traumatic events, such as accidental fall, car accidents, sport injuries, and other emergencies. It will also bring healthcare closer to the people at reduced cost compared to private hospitals and drastically reduce health tourism. In addition to the above advantages, it will deter patients from patronizing traditional bone center who enjoy patronage in the absence of specialized orthopedic hospital. The orthopedic hospital will be affiliated to University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, Kwara State, and the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, to provide specialized orthopedic treatment and medical services. After a clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, the committee recommends that the amended bill be approved as recommended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the committee would like to thank the entire leadership and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given us to serve in this capacity. I so submit, Mr. President. Where is the clerk? There are lots of typographical errors on this.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this Senate results in the Committee of the Whole to consider the two reports. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider these reports.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the two reports of our Committee on Health, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we are considering the University Teaching Hospital's reconstruction of boards. Those in favor that clause 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. We go to the second report. Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act. Those in favor that clause 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
I rise to move that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the chair reverse to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstruction of Boards etc. Act, Cap U15 Elephant 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, and approved as follows: long title as recommended, clause 1 to 2 as recommended, short title as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole also considered the report of the Committee on Health on the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 010 Elephant 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, and approved as follows: long title as recommended, clause 1 to 3 as recommended, short title as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that these bills be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that these two bills be now read the third time say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstruction of Board, etc. Act, Cap U15, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill, to establish the Federal University of Technology, Akure Teaching Hospital, and the Federal University of Gusau Teaching Hospital, and for related matters, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospital Management Board Act, Cap 0110, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Orthopedic Hospital Batagi and the Orthopedic Hospital Obokun, Osun State, and for related matters. Third reading.
A bill for an act to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc., Act Cap U15, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill to establish the Federal University of Technology Akure Teaching Hospital and the Federal University Gusau Teaching Hospital, and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. A bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospital Management Board Act Cap 010 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to provide for the establishment of the Orthopedic Hospital Patigi and the Orthopedic Hospital Oboku, Osun State, and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. Congratulations, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the ninth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah and 12 others on the urgent need to surmount all kinds of kidnappings, banditry, and related security challenges in Danko, Wasagu, Sakaba, and Yauri local government areas of Kebbi State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah, Kebbi South.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, this is a motion brought pursuant to Order 411 granted yesterday by this distinguished Senate for this motion to come up today. In pursuance of that, I move the motion for an urgent need to surmount all kinds of kidnapping, banditry, and related security challenges in Danko, Wasagu, and Yauri local government area in Kebbi State. The Senate notes that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended provides that the security and welfare of people shall be the primary responsibility of government. Further note that considering the current rise in security challenges in Danko, Wasagu, and Sakaba local government areas of Kebbi State and indeed across the Federation, agencies need to intensify efforts to secure the lives and properties of the good people of this country. Aware that it is no longer news that bandits are moving in hundreds from village to village, house to house, in search of cattle to rustle and people to abduct. In some cases, the houses of foodstuff of the residents are entirely burned down, rendering them homeless and without food to survive. Besides, many of their victims have been men, while women, both old and young, are raped and dehumanized. Further aware that these bandits now conduct their criminal activities in daylight, 2 or more on a motorcycle and fully armed, shooting on their way and killing whoever is unfortunate to come their way. Worried that bandits have been reportedly laying siege around Erkuka, Morai, Dankade, Wadako, and recently in Bena, where 20 people were abducted, and Ayu, where most of the residents were forced to flee, all under Wasagu Chiefdom in Donko Wasagu local government area. The same challenges are going on at Sakaba, in Sakaba local government, and of course in Yauri Emirate, which consists of Shanga, Ngaski, and Yauri. Further worried that most recently, and in particular on the 19th of February 2022, the bandits in large numbers passed through Weje, Sabalayi, Zuntu, and Kangon Wasagu, where they killed many people and herds of cattle were rustled. This incident has increased the number of IDPs in Weje, Ripa, Kanya, and Wasagu, all in Danko Wasagu local government, and creating a major humanitarian crisis, Mr. President. Observe that the bandits killed some traditional leaders and security agents in Dankade and El Kuka, above Olbena to Bangi Federal Road, linking Kebbi and Niger State, has been shot down by the bandits. Even though it is manned by security agents. Further observe that underlisted villages in Wasagu Chiefdom, Danko Wasagu local government, are under incessant attacks by bandits. This include Doka, Ganyale, More, Kare, Banku, Mutare, Bawanda, Tungan, Danguda, Tungangala, Gimi, Zagumi, Kadanho, and Chukum, all under this area. Regret that under Sakaba local government, the bandits have invaded and ransacked Dankolo, Makuku, Sakaba, Jambrini, and Kurming Kodo villages. In another ugly development on the 10th of February, the bandits also displaced the residents of Ungwangwade, Agali, and Mazarku. They killed many people and kidnapped many people. The residents in these areas are currently in IDP camps in Dirindaji town, headquarters of Sakaba local government. Further regret that the unfortunate incidents where school children at the Federal Government College, Yauri, were kidnapped, and to date, more than 10 captives. The female among them were said to have been married to the bandits, and reportedly 3 are said to have been released to their parents after having been allegedly impregnated by their captives. Last week, the bandit attacked Tungan Garumai under Yahudi Emirate Council and killed and kidnapped so many people and set the entire village ablaze, where foodstuffs and other valuables were completely burned down. The stuff that if urgent step is not taken and a decisive action is not taken to curtail this security situation, the situation may further deteriorate into a very huge humanitarian crisis for the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and in particular, the government of Kebbi State, Niger, and neighboring Zamfara. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to call on the federal government and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to deploy massively the military and other law enforcement agencies to conduct a rigorous operation that will bring an end to the banditry and cattle rustling in the affected area. 2, urge the Chief of Defense Staff to establish an operational base within the affected areas with a view to finding lasting solutions to the security challenges. 3, urge the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, to, as a matter of urgency, provide relief materials to the affected areas. 4, urge all relevant agencies, non-governmental organizations, private donors, and philanthropists to come to the aid of the affected victims in order to cushion the effect of this unfortunate incident. Mr. President, the last prayer that was inadvertently omitted is to urge the federal government to invoke the provision of Section 17(1)(g) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to render special assistance to the affected communities. My colleagues, this is the motion, and I urge that you support the motion. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Mohammed Adam Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adam Alero, representing the good people of Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my colleague Bala Ibn Nala. And in seconding this motion, Mr. President, I must say that what we are witnessing in Kebbi South is what we have seen in Zamfara and also northern part of Sokoto State. The military operations made it impossible for bandits to operate freely in Zamfara, and they are now moving to Kebbi because there are no enough security agencies stationed in these areas. So, Mr. President, I think there is need for coordinated and simultaneous operation by security agents in both Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Niger State in order to stop banditry and kidnapping in these states. If we don't do coordinated operations, we will just be treating, the matter halfly. It's a half-hearted measure. So the security agents that are stationed there are overwhelmed. The bandits come in hundreds, at times 300, at times 500 of them, all of them well armed with AK-47 rifles. And the kind of ammunition they have, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, our police and military personnel, they don't have them. One wonders how they get these arms and ammunition. So recently, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we purchased Tucano aircraft. This Tucano aircraft can be used to move out all the bandits, and if possible, even kill all of them. Tucano aircraft have the ability to trace the movement of these bandits. If they are stealing cows in thousands, I wonder how they move these cows without being detected. Unless if the security agents don't have the weather wizard of doing that. So I urge the security forces to intensify efforts to stamp out banditry in this state. Mr. President, there is truly a humanitarian crisis in both Zuru Emirate and also Yaouri Emirate. Presently, we have thousands of people in Donko Osugu, that's the Riba and Osugu, the major towns in Donko Osugu. We have thousands in Zuru, and even food to eat is a big problem to them. So there is need for federal government to come to the aid of the state government in providing food relief to these victims. Equally in Yaouri, the educational institutions have all been deserted because of fear of bandits. Federal Government College Yaouri had 93 students abducted, as stated in the motion. Up to now, we have not rescued 15 out of the 93 abducted students. The ones that have been rescued, some of them came pregnant. It is indeed very dehumanizing to see these students when they came out. So, Mr. President, there is need for us to really intensify efforts. One major issue that we have to consider is the way the bandits operate. They give notice to the communities they are coming, and they give notice of 3 to 4 days. And true to what they say, they will come and operate on the very day they stated. And the security agents don't do anything. I don't know, maybe because of lack of personnel or lack of arms and ammunition, they cannot confront them. If it is issue of personnel, Mr. President, there is a need to embark on massive recruitment of policemen. By so doing, we can beef up the manpower of the police force. And equally in the army, the same problem we are facing. So I associate myself with all the players of this motion, and I urge my colleagues to support this motion, particularly the issue of providing humanitarian relief and also beefing up security in the affected areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I stand to support this bill, and Mohammed Sani Musa representing Niger East. The security situation is becoming very alarming, not only in Kebbi State, but also states surrounding Kebbi, like Niger State. Just recently, they overran a security post in Shiroro local government in a village called Galadima Kogo, killed about 4 civil defense corps officers, and burnt almost the whole village. There is no any action taken. No security forces, nobody is doing anything about it. And these people have started using IEDs. The police band that was going for rescue marched on an IED bomb and exploded. Nobody, I've not had anyone said anything. In Kebbi State, just to concur with what Senator Alero said, they kidnapped pupils in secondary school, young children, infants, went and impregnated them and brought them back. Like, oh, I mean, are we not human beings? Is there no government? Foreigners are coming into this country. Yesterday, my state governor made this call that immigration should wake up. There are a lot of foreigners in Niger State. Niger State has become like a heaven of Boko Haram. Nobody is doing anything. Human beings are just lost every day. And we enjoy to stand and do 1 minute silence. I think apart from calling on the security, even our leaders should fear God. We need to fear God. If we can protect ourselves and we live all our lives being lost, there will be a day that God will ask us and we will account for that. For how long are we going to continue to live like this? If we can't do it, why can't we call foreign country to come and help us? Even the journalists are tired. They don't make any noise about it anymore. And people are being killed every day. So I think the call that Senator Balana Allah did is very important. There are areas that military formations should be taken to. If we have peace in some other particular areas, they should take some of these military men back. What is our Navy doing? What is the Air Force doing? What are they doing in the barracks? The defense has the highest budget. What are we doing about it? I call on the Senate to adopt everything that Senator Balana Allah proposed, and even do more. The aircrafts we brought, the Turkanos aircrafts, what are they doing? If there will be collateral damage where these people are, they should do something about it. I cannot see where 300 cows are being lost to, and nobody will tell you that he knows where these cows are going to. People are paying ransom in the bush. Are they spending that money in the bush? We are living witnesses in this country where bandits ask victims to go and pay the ransom in banks, and nothing is done about it. And we call it, and we say we are serious about saving our country. We need to look at these things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Nora Ladi Dadut, representing Plateau South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I only want to add my voice to all those that have spoken, especially the sponsor of this motion. Every day we cry out
on the pages of media, social media. Every day we sit here, we have 1 minute silence for one occasion or one situation or the other. I think as distinguished Senator Sani Musa had just said, we should not just sit here and cry and shout. We should all commit ourselves individually and collectively to make sure that first, how do they bring in ammunitions? How do these bandits get ammunitions? We have to look into that. It must come through some sources here in Nigeria. So we have to stop that. That is one. Secondly, as Senator Balana Allah said and quoted, our section 17, subsection 2B, you know, the sanctity of the human person shall be recognized and human dignity shall be maintained and enhanced. We don't have human dignity. When children are killed like ordinary animals, even animals, they don't kill their own species. They kill other species. They don't kill their own species. And here we are, human dignity is lost, and we keep on writing motions, making, sponsoring bills, and they just get to a deadlock. Can we, as a Senate, come out with something to add to what has been going on? That is, in terms of providing another channel that will help the security agencies to sit up. And I wonder what the Air Force can do. Why can't they fly their planes and identify these areas? They can fly their planes and make sure that these bandits are also scared. We have to scare them. And lastly, Mr. President, with this, having to see bandits impregnating children, impregnating them, they are just using them as properties. They are just using them as ordinary objects, impregnating them and dumping them. It's like, well, they are wasting lives, the future of this country. Please, I want to beg that this motion should be followed to the last level where we can get something positive and help our nation, help our citizens. Maybe they are even planning to attack the IDPs because these people don't have homes anymore. They may go to the IDPs and attack them. So I think we should look at this in the whole and make sure we get something to help our nation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Nicholas Tofomo.
Thank you, our Senate President. I'm happy you have called me because I need to say something. The ninth Senate, we are the ninth Senate. We should take a lead. And I'm happy we have our President of Senate who is up to the task. Let us take the lead. We are senators. If we look at our internal security, we should first of all admit that our internal security has failed. It's very, very embarrassing. And we should stop calling the president to move troops to A, to move troops to B, when the facilities are not meaningful. What is he going to call? Nothing. So we should rearrange our internal security. If you look at Nigerian police in this area we are talking about, there's nothing to write home about. We have 774 local governments. If you look at police stations at all these local governments, it will be so pathetic and embarrassing. Let us reform Nigerian police. because they are in charge of internal security. A police officer is attached to about 500 people. How can we get results? Let us reform Nigerian police and put things right. We still have about 1.5 years to go. If that is what we can handle here and get results, don't let us start blaming. Let us reform Nigerian police because they are in charge of our internal security. And with that, we'll be able to get results. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, my name is Senator Uche Leland Ekunifiyom. I come from Anambra State. Mr. President, just to support this motion moved by Senator Onala. Mr. President, the issue of security is becoming very worrisome in this country. The last speaker said that this is ninth Senate. We need to do something differently. Mr. President, we have passed several landmark motions and bills on the floor of the Senate. My question is, are the governors truly the chief security officers of their respective states? If the answer is yes, why can't we support the creation of state policing? The security is getting off hand in this country. This is time for us to forget about personal interests and support the creation of state policing. We need to support them. If truly governors are the chief security officers of their states, they must be able to have control of the policing in their respective states. There is no state that is free again in this country. We have our peculiarities now when it comes to security issues. We have cattle rustling in the north, kidnapping, banditry, the same thing in the south, everywhere. In Anambra, we are no longer safe. In Lagos, nobody is safe. In Kaduna, no one is safe. Every day we come to the floor of the Senate, we observe 4 or 5 times 1 minute silence on behalf of people that died one way or the other, either through cattle rustling or through kidnapping or through banditry or through armed robbery and all of that. No one is safe anymore in this country. No street is safe, no road is safe. People can't even go about their businesses anymore. They can't even travel by road. Even when you fly, you still have to travel by road to get your home. No one is safe. We have to take the issue of security very seriously because it is our responsibility to provide welfare and security for Nigerians. That is the job of the executive. Are they doing it? They're no longer doing it because the security people, the armed robbers, the banditry and all of that, they've all taken the entire space in this country. Having said that, Mr. President, let me also talk about the police. If you go to local governments, you don't see DPOs on seats. Policemen are no longer sitting in their offices. If you have any problem and call policeman, the policeman will tell you, bring the person to their office because they're no longer equipped. They're not equipped. No police office today is equipped. No policeman is equipped. No police checkpoint that you see personnel. They run away because the armed robbers are more equipped than the policemen. They're afraid of them. And if you look at what is going on...
Can you round up, please, so that others can also speak?
If the armed men will have the infantry to go to military base to challenge the men, to go to police station to challenge the men, to meet the military men on checkpoints and challenge them, how about common Nigerians? We need to take this very seriously. And in taking it seriously, we need to come back here to ensure that we put up laws that can take care of our security situation in the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to support
the motion by my good friend, distinguished Senator. Mr. President, we need to look critically into this issue concerning security because it is taking to a new turn and a new dimension. In the last 2 weeks, we have lost prominent citizens in my state. About 4 days ago, we lost a prominent surveyor. Yesterday, we lost another person. One of the son of a justice was also kidnapped by whiskey. He was able to escape. So it's very, very important, Mr. President, that we look into this security issue because if it's not tackled, it means that those that we left in the rural areas, those that we came to represent here, they will start dying. Starvation will come in. Nobody wants to go to the east anymore. Nobody wants to go to his constituency anymore because the banditry has taken over so many portions of so many districts in our respective constituencies. So I am supporting that we should look into the issue of security critically and see how we can sort it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Stella Odua.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues. My name is Senator Stella Odua, and I represent Anambra North. Mr. President, each time I stand up to speak about the national security situation, particularly when a motion or a bill comes to that effect, I kept on asking myself, Mr. President, why is it that we have not implemented the report? Mr. President, you presided over a committee, a very powerful committee. I was a member. We had to study the national security architect of the nation. We made several far-reaching recommendations. We talked about how these issues could be resolved and can be resolved. All the security units came to discuss with us. We brainstormed. We wrote extensive report. We even went as far as talking about the remote cause and causes of national internal security, how we need to prioritize human resources development, how we need to pay similar attention that we have paid to our oil and gas, because it's a natural resources that when that is done, a huge number of our youth will have the requisite skill, and that will take them off banditry and all the criminal activities. Mr. President, that was very extensive. Mr. President, yet 9 Senate to set up another one led by leader here. And we spent several weeks working with security agencies, interviewing, brainstorming, day and night. We spent endless time studying this. And so we developed another strategic document to address our security issues. Mr. President, my heart bleeds that till date, none of those documents has been acted upon. I want to believe that it's either it didn't get to where it's supposed to get, or there must be a reason that makes sense why such documents are not being implemented. Mr. President, even the securities agreed with us, the agencies agreed with us that if and only we can implement these documents, we can see the difference. I want to urge you, Mr. President, that if we have to put those two documents together and represent them again, because they were holistic in profiling the solution. They were very fundamental, all the programs and the activities that we have on that strategic security document. I really think we should do that, because everything we are saying here today and more, we have said them severally. We said them, I said it, we're saying them again. Hopefully tomorrow, may God forgive us, we will continue saying them. We need to make sure that these recommendations are implemented. Mr. President, it's really up to you to do the needful, that those recommendations presented at the 8th Senate, 9th Senate are put into action. I so submit. Thank you.
Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. I represent Taraba Central. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, we'll continue to do these debates day and day and night if possible. We may not going to get to the solution of the issue. My suggestion is a very, very short one. Let this chamber use its own constitutional powers to urge Mr. President to declare state of emergency on security in this country. That's point number one. Point number two, Mr. President, we have seen what NDLEA is doing. They have found that there is collusion or complacency or internal participation of police in drug issues in this country. Let us also, second point, let us make an inquiry and also investigation into our security apparatus, our security architecture in this country. Probably we can even, ask Mr. President to establish a judicial committee of inquiry into the activities of these security agencies in the way they are managing the security in this country. Probably we may go that far, and probably we might get a solution to it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator Tolu Odebi, Ogun West.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very able, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, let me take another different approach to this issue. We seem to be very reactive and very ad hoc in how we solve problems such as security in this country. But I think we need to go a bit deeper. If you look at from 2013, you had about 4 million children out of school. Today, you have 14 million children out of school. Add that to about so-called 100 million people in poverty, especially if you look at the Northeast and the Northwest. Add that to about 100 million people that are out of school. I mean, it's a fertile ground for recruiting bandits, especially when you put that in conjunction with what is the breakdown of countries around Nigeria in the Sahel and all those players. It's just a fertile environment. And if you add that with underage marriage, children that are already in poverty, giving birth, and those children are going to grow up and now in poverty again, uneducated. So what are we talking about? The military can only do so much. It's a holistic approach. The military can only do so much. I mean, as long as if we're sitting down here by 2025, then we say we have another 20 million children out of school. Unless we have a comprehensive approach to all this issue, the security issue in this country will continue to get worse. So all this ad hoc reaction and the police, the army, the tornado, and everybody, it's not going to work. We must have a comprehensive approach, and declare a martial law against out of school children. Look at how do we reduce all this, find all this poverty issue. As long as that is increasing by the day, as long as you have more children out of school, that is increasing, as long as you have underage children giving birth again to poverty,
I mean, it's a perfect fertile ground, and then you have all these countries around Nigeria that are broken down. You have people, you have ISIS, you have Nigeria is a fertile ground for recruiting. And the more we look at this holistically, the more we'll have a better approach to it. The military can only do so much. It's not an ad hoc reaction and buy more tornado and bombing and bombing and bombing. It's not going to solve the problem because the issue, the variables are still there. I mean, for this issue. So I think my own issue is that, I mean, this thing must be looked at holistically. I mean, there must be like a martial law or something more dramatic. I mean, especially with this out of school. And I know, Mr. President, you've always been talking about these out of school children. Now we have 14. In 2013, we have 4. By 2025, we're going to have 20 million. And it is going to continue to grow. So these are the issues that is creating all this banditry, it's creating all this terrorism, it's creating all these problems in this country. I mean, and that is the only way we can approach this thing succinctly. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator B.K. Amos, Gombe South.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator B.K. Amos. I represent Gombe South. The entire world is being challenged by insecurity. Nigeria is part of that fraction of the entire world. We live in a global world today. There's this common saying that goes that crime is an aspect of the society, and so long the society exists, it must go side by side with crime. However, the issue of crime in Nigeria, particularly internal security problems, has reached a crescendo that we will not continue to look at it the way we're looking at it again. I don't know, people have always been making too much noise, too much emphasis on collateral damage. You cannot go to war and you don't expect collateral damage. It's part of the war game. You like it or not, so long you go to war, there must be collateral damage. The use of the Tucano fighter jets that have been brought in, to me, I think those fighter jets that have been brought in have not been put into judicious use. Because if we are judiciously making use of those aircraft, by now we would have been singing a different song. Sir, I have a problem, and the problem is this. We have tried, even just last year in 2021 budget for the armed forces, there was some additional money meant for the armed forces for them to buy equipment. I think the time has come now that the Senate or the National Assembly will strictly follow the budget of members of the armed forces, particularly those ones that were specifically earmarked for the purchase of new equipment. I think the time has come. We really have to follow that budget. From the time the releases are coming from the Minister of Finance till we follow how and know how that money has been put into judicial use. I'm always afraid when people stand up here and said that the bandits, those ill-trained human beings, ragtag soldiers that are better than the members of the armed forces, is not true. Something is wrong somewhere. It's either the right thing has not been done, or there's a connivance somewhere that we cannot sit down here and explain. But to me, I don't think there's a better way of doing it. Those of us who have the right, we can come to the open market and buy arms because we're authorized by law to buy arms. Then somebody who will go and is even afraid to wheel out his arms in public, then he will be having a better weapon, better than those of us who are officially allowed to buy. I don't seem to agree to that agreement. Sir, Nigeria will really have to sit up. We have said so much about this issue of insecurity in these chambers over and over. And like one of our colleagues has rightly said, Senator Ekunife, we cannot just sit down here and keep talking about this same issue day in, day out, and there's no result. Can there be another better way of doing it? Because you cannot be doing the same thing the same way and you expect a different result. We have talked too much about this issue of security in this place. What else can we do to actually bring a change into what really is affecting this nation? We have reached a level, look at it, innocent kids, baby girls, They have been pregnanted by some irresponsible human beings, and it's becoming part of the society, and we're still here talking about it. Can we go out of our own way and do something that is completely different from what is happening? Let's make it a priority. Let's leave every other thing and face the issue of internal security in this country. Let's stop every other thing in this country and face that aspect of security and see whether we cannot bring out a lasting solution to this problem. Every day we stand up here to observe 5 minutes, 1 minute silence. Well, we're tired with the whole thing. It's not adding up anymore. It's not adding value to what we're doing here. So let's face this issue of security and see how best we can approach it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Clifford Odia.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, the issue of insecurity in this country is currently on the rise. As a Senate, we have looked at some of the problems, and we engage the security agencies as to what they require us to do as a Senate. I think to a very reasonable extent, Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, we've had to make sure that the funding that they require to enable them work very seriously on these security matters was approved for them. We have held seminars discussing with members of the executive as to how to find solutions to this problem. But, Mr. President, today, the issue of insecurity has continued to be on the rise. I think, Mr. President, we need to go back to the executive to invite them so that we can sit down again and again to see what we can do as a Senate to help ameliorate this situation. Because this security problem has continued to be a very serious problem. There's no day you will not hear something that has to do with some people being killed, just like that. Nigerians are getting tired. And all of us here have continued to put in our best to see how security problems can be solved. From what has happened now, it does appear that we need to go all over it again and see how we can arrive at something very tangible with the government and security agencies. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator Matthew Urogide, Edo South.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am Senator Matthew Urogide, I represent Edo South Central District. Mr. President, first let me thank you for your patience when we discuss issues that are of very grave national concern, because you give the time for everybody as members of the Senate to express our opinion on these issues. I think insecurity in Nigeria, Mr. President, has taken a whole lot of our time when it comes to discussion in this hallowed chamber. Up to date, from inception to date, I know we have given quality time to the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. And every day it happens, one of us will come with the issue of insecurity in his domain, in his senatorial district or in the state, and then we have to do an elongation into our various states where insecurity too has become the bane. Mr. President, it's very disheartening that only last week I went to my constituency and some persons accosted me and said, what are you doing about insecurity in 4 out of my 7 local government areas that make up Edo South Central District, particularly of Ovia Northeast, where bandits have moved into farmlands, killing the people on a daily basis, and it is on record that nobody can leave Benin City and be heading for Auchi. It stands a 50% chance of being kidnapped on a daily basis. Just like you see between Abuja and Kaduna. And everything is being done by the day to try to avert this ugly situation. Mr. President, the thing is not abating. Then we must come to question what the real problem is. Why is it that we cannot guarantee the lives and properties of our people in this country?
For me, I believe the stark realities that face us, we must address them. Number one, the number of security agencies in Nigeria, the armed forces, paramilitary, all of them, including correctional centers or, those who have correctional centers, all that they put together is 1.2 million. We have a population of over 200 million people. That is the truth. So, we don't have the manpower, enough manpower, to be able to man the nook and crannies of our country to ensure the lives of our people. That's number one. Then we must do something about that. If you remember, Mr. President, we have called security chiefs here several times, and they have adduced one reason or the other. The issue of manpower was what the police said, that they are supposed to be recruiting 10,000 personnel every year. We know the issue of litigation that came into it. And that one, of course, stopped them from recruiting as and when due the number of policemen into the force. Mr. President, that's not the only thing. Even if we recruit all these policemen, go and see our different states. There has to be combined team of patrol between the military and the police and other paramilitary to be able to ensure enforce security in our domains. So I think, Mr. President, the issue of personnel, let us look at it and give a standing order. Let it be that this is the way the executive must pursue the issue of recruitment among all the security forces so that we have enough manpower. Then two, the issue of technology. In the Senate, Mr. President, you remember that the Senate passed, well, after a while, the purchase of Tucano aircrafts. These Tucano aircrafts have been brought in. And to date, we have thought that the Tucano aircrafts were going to go into Sambisa Forest. They're going to go into the massive land area of Niger State. And when you are the pockets of forest in the south, where the Tucano aircraft will be able to go in and bomb these enemies who are bandits and all our kidnappers and such like. Mr. President, we are not seeing the result as quickly as possible.
Give me a round up, please.
Now we have to do the needful. This is not only an executive concern, it is a concern of everybody, including market women, not just legislators to Nigeria. What we need to do, we need to do. And this is the time to do it. Thank you very much.
Senator Danjuma.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. Many people have spoken about this issue of security. And in Nigeria, it has become what people are saying day in, day out. It is no longer stories. It happens all over. It affects almost everybody. And I am saying this, if I talk, sometimes I blame the government of the day, and I blame each and everybody. Security is for everybody to sit up to expectation. And if you cannot keep up or live up to expectation, really you'll be found wanting one way or the other. Today, we don't trust one another because you don't know who you are speaking to. He could be an enemy, he could be a friend, but you turn around to be an enemy tonight. Banditries are killing, raping, kidnapping. Name them. Like in my area, I am telling you no day, always, that banditry do not come to our area day in, day out. Killings everywhere. To my surprise, I have been mentioning this time without number in this very humble chamber, that plans to go about banditry should not be mentioned. We should always plan all how to go about or whatever we have to do with security in a seminar so that we can discuss intensively to know what is the way out.
But at any given time, we sit here, talk of how to go about security. All the security they are listening, they are hearing us, and they will make use of that to be part of their weapon to use in killing us or in dealing with us. I beg the government of the day, whenever we are talking of security, we should try to find a very safe place whereby all our discussions will not be had outside. Because we Nigerians were very good in talking about security openly. And now all the security men are there watching, and all the bandits or even the crime that we are committed in this country, people are listening to us all over. What I'm advised in this case, that security issues should not be discussed in the open. There must be a way forward by making sure that whatever we are talking about security should not be heard anywhere, so that we can be able to eliminate and reduce the crime in this country. Security is no longer a problem, but it is the biggest thing in this country that I don't think, if this government did not live up to expectation, it will be very, very difficult for us to control the security in this country. It has become a daily affairs. They are calling you here, calling you there, all the nights, more especially like my own. I don't sleep. Calls come to my room, to my phone, time without number, telling me that these people are here, they are there. What can I do? Even myself, people are running after me because I've been causing a lot of problems, trying to tell people that this is why this thing is happening, this is why it's happening. But we have many ways that this security can be confronted. The only thing I would advise, we should not be discussed in the open. Thank you.
We go to the prayers, please. Prayer 1. Calling the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to deploy massively the military and other law enforcement agencies to conduct a rigorous operation that will bring to an end to the banditry and cattle rustling in the affected local government areas. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 2, urge the Chief of Defense Staff to establish an operational base within the affected area with a view to finding lasting solution to the security challenges. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 3, urge the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to, as a matter of urgency, provide relief materials to the affected areas. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 4, urge all relevant agencies, NGOs, and private philanthropists to come to the assistance of the victims of violence and humanitarian disaster. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This one, is it from you? Senator Balai Nalla. Senator Balai Nalla. Is this from you? But you have to propose it as an additional prayer now. Yes.
I did in the argument say that it was inadvertently omitted, and I added it in the argument. But if the procedure,
it is supposed to be an additional prayer, because what is supposed? Yeah, it can be part of the prayers, but only additional prayer. I just can't read it like that. It's not in the motion. Yeah. Second. Someone seconds.
Mr. President, I move that we have an additional prayer where we urge the federal government to invoke the provision of Section 17(1)(g) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to render the necessary assistance to the affected areas.
What is that?
Section 17.
But what is it? What is that Section 17, so that we know what we are voting?
Mr. President, Section 17 of our Constitution says, with respect, that the state social order is founded on ideas of freedom, equality, and justice. And then it went down to G. They say provision is made for public assistance in deserving cases or other conditions of needs. That's what G says, Mr. President. Section 17(1)(g) of the Constitution. 17(1)(g). It's a power granted to the federal government to dip his hands into.
But in the in the prayers that we have already voted on. I think you have talked about assistance. That's government, isn't it?
This one is a special provision and is not anticipated by our prayers. See, sir, in terms of needs, there are certain monies kept by federal government. The federal government can say, on the need basis, we have taken this amount to deploy that for the purpose of solving that problem. And that is the necessary intendment of Section 17(1)(g) of our Constitution, sir.
I'm not a lawyer, you are, but there's nothing here to indicate it's money. What we have here in G, provision is made for public assistance in deserving cases or other conditions of need. It doesn't, it's assistance. But that's what 17G is saying.
That's why we are urging federal government to invoke it. They don't have to invoke it, sir. It's the office of the MPA that will do that. Once they invoke it,
okay,
the power to look for that money and then give the necessary assistance in terms of need.
But it's not saying money, it's saying assistance.
Assistance can be in whatever form.
That's the point.
You cannot assist without money because you can't assist because federal government is not going to talk to them.
No, it's okay. I'm only trying to see that we don't duplicate this, but
their needs may not be prayer from federal government. Their needs may not be smiles from federal government. Their needs will be food, shelter, maybe some compensation, whatever, and that can only be done by money. And that's
I need someone to second that. Senator Yusuf.
Mr. President, why seconding the motion, the clarification?
It's not a motion. Yeah, it's a motion, but it's a prayer, additional prayer.
Why supporting the prayers? The clarification is here that there should be a special intervention.
No. Just go ahead and second. Don't bring another twist. Just second what he has, because he may disagree with their position. Okay. Distinguished colleagues. Okay. Noted. Secretary, take note of that. Those in favor of the additional prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer, Senator Ibrahim Abdullah Gobir.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My additional prayer is that all non-leaders of bandits or terrorists should be declared wanted. All non-leaders of bandits or terrorists, because now they have been declared terrorists, yes, should be declared wanted.
Okay, I need a seconder. Senator Baro Jibril.
Senator Baro Jibril, Kano North. I stand to second the motion for additional prayer as moved by Senator Govin. I so second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the additional prayer by Senator Ibrahim Abdullah Gobir, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Well, thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I've deliberately allowed this motion. What is it? I've deliberately allowed this motion to be exhaustively debated so that we hear different perspectives and the issues across our senatorial districts. But let me say this. Please, let's never be discouraged. Because sometimes some of us feel, well, why are we doing this? Well, nothing is happening. There's a limit to what we can do, but we must do what we are supposed to do well. When we debate these things here, that is our primary responsibility. We can only do oversight to put pressure, but we can't execute because we can't command anyone to go to anywhere. But what we do here, to me, is very, very significant. We should continue to debate it, talk about it, and follow on with some actions. And following on with some actions, we have approved significant resources funds recently in both the supplementary budget of 2021 and the Appropriation Act of 2022 for our armed forces and other security agencies. The time has come for all security and defense-related committees to oversight on the releases of funds to these agencies. The releases, how much of what we appropriated has been released to the security agencies. What is the nature of their procurement process? Because this is very important. We need to establish the procurement process of these agencies. If we find any that is not compliant with the best practices, we insist that they must adopt the international best practice of procurement and what our rules and the Public Procurement Act establishes. So our committees are supposed to be really up and doing, particularly on how much has been released to these agencies and how they are utilizing this. We have faith in our armed forces and security agencies. We have faith in them. And to be honest, they are doing a good job with what we have been able to give. We are not giving enough. Some of them die, some are maimed in the process. Even if we are not getting the outcome that we want, we should continue to encourage them and push. We have had series of discussions on security and the need to review the security architecture. We should continue to insist on this until we get the kind of outcome that will safeguard the lives and property of Nigerians. So with this, I want to thank Senator Balai bin Nala for the motion in the first place and encourage all of us that we are not wasting our time here. We are not. Our work has been designed for us by our Constitution, and we will not get tired of discussing them anytime there is a need for us to discuss. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that we suspend the consideration of all other items on our legislative agenda today to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items on our order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that this Senate do adjourn to convene again on February 1st March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. On Tuesday, 1st March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do adjourn to Tuesday, 1st March 2022 for further legislative.
Thank you very much. The distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, I have one or two announcements to make. We are expecting that by the end of today and the whole of tomorrow, each distinguished senator will have a report of the Constitutional Review Committee. DSP, we need the reports available to us so that we read them, we consult, because that we have announced. Senator Betty, please, we are going to vote on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, by the grace of God. So it is important that we have the report so that we are able to read and when necessary consult with our constituents and senatorial districts And in fact, even amongst ourselves, because somebody is campaigning for 35% or something like that, maybe it needs to engage others as well within the chamber. So the report should be ready for us. And of course, the whips of the Senate, led by the chief whip of the Federation, both sides of the aisle, 4 of them, working with Sergeant at Arms. We need to fix the voting devices because we are going to vote electronically. So we need Chief Whip from tomorrow, because let's start working on these things as early as possible. In case we discover some challenges, we should be able to deal with it between tomorrow and Monday. Including printing of the voting or the outcome of the votes. Want everything fixed, no excuses. We shouldn't come here and then somebody will say, this thing is not working. We are not going to accept that. So make sure you do your work properly. So Chief Whip, you are in charge. We just have to have it done because we just have to vote electronically. Also, there's an notice announcement. Northern Senators Caucus meeting earlier scheduled to hold today at 2 p.m. has been rescheduled to hold on Monday, 28 February 2022 at the same venue, conference room 231. All Northern Senators to please note, that is to attend. So the meeting is taking place on Monday, 2 p.m. Sign, announcer, Distinguished Senator Aisha Ahmed Binani, Secretary, Northern Senators Forum. With this, those in favor that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, the first day of March 2022 at 10 a.m. from say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till Tuesday, the first day of March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.